page of my website that just has some of the different activities that I did. So I guess I'll just go through these first. So the first one is an assignment called Personal Dictionaries. And basically, I had students select their own words for it, but you could have them use a list if you wanted to. It just wouldn't be as personal. So yeah, so my students, as we were reading the novel, they found words that they didn't know in the text and started making a list of them, and then they used those words to create their personal dictionaries. So the dictionaries had to have a cover page, and then each entry had to have the word, the definition, a sentence that shows the word's meaning. I also asked them to show other forms of the word in different parts of speech. Was that all? Yeah. Oh, and an image to represent the word in some way. So I think I can pull this up.
And how did they feel about this project?
They felt like it was a lot of work, but they did like it, they did enjoy it, and they made really nice, they came out with really nice final products. So this is the cover of one of them. So we did it with the Giver. This is an example of an inside page, so it has the word. Yeah. So each entry has the word, the part of speech, the sentence, other forms of the word. So, for example, for gleaming, that was the adjective. They also had to list the noun form, which is gleam, the adverb form, gleamingly. And,
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they had to do an image for each one.
Okay.
Here are some other examples. So,
And was there a minimum or maximum they had to do?
yeah, there was a certain amount, they had a certain number of words that they had to include. I think it was around 30. Again, you can really cater that to whatever assignment you wanted to do. So they did a really good job with them. They came out really nice. And the students felt like it helped them to really learn the words better because they were looking them up on their own and had to really figure out how to use them and the images. So all the components, I think, helped the students remember the words better.
Okay, great.
Okay, then the word wall activity, I think this might have actually been your original idea.
Okay.
But I did the word wall last year, which I liked because, so I created a big poster that we kept on the wall. Again, this was using words from a novel we were reading. And as maybe about once a week or so, I had all the students go up to the wall and add a word from the text that they didn't know. So we were just kind of collecting, they couldn't repeat words that were already there. So we were kind of collecting difficult words from the text as we read. I liked it because the words were always visible in the room, and it got the students up and involved. Then at the end of that unit, what we did was each student had to select 3 words from the word wall that weren't the words they had chosen. They had to research the definitions and create a short presentation about each of those 3 words to teach the class the words. As we did that, the class took notes on all the definitions, and then we had a quiz on them later on. So I liked it because the students were teaching each other. Again, they were selecting the words that were challenging for them. So yeah, that one was another one. This one was fun. I did this assignment called 3 New Words to Love. And with this, I was just thinking about how when students have to learn so many words, they're just learning a little bit about each one. So with this one, I wanted them to just pick 3 words and really get to know the words, really experiment with using the words in different ways. So what they did was they had to, again, they were words from the text that we were reading. They had to use some kind of creative technique, such as poetry, humor, or mystery, something imaginative and write a paragraph about each word. So I have an example. Let me see if I can find it quickly. Yeah. So I didn't save theirs. I should have. This year I'm going to save some because they were so creative. But I'll just read you the example that I gave them that I wrote. So I did it for the word perspire, and I wrote, perspire is like a fancy word for sweat. Put a businessman on a plane to Miami, and that's what you get. His tie is too tight, his suit is synthetic, and his tomato red face is really pathetic. The plane doors close, and oh God, here it goes. 3, 2, 1, take off. Could he please wipe his face off? It's totally dripping in the wine that he's sipping. His extreme perspiration gives me a grossed out sensation. He tries to relax, so he orders some snacks, but the plane is soaring and his sweat keeps pouring. I kid you not, it could have filled a whole pot. Don't call me a liar, that man sure did perspire. So just like having fun with the word, playing around with its meanings, different forms of it. And I told them they didn't have to turn theirs into a poem, but that was one idea. I wanted them to do something really creative with each of those 3 words and do a whole paragraph about each one. So that was that. This one I just came up with this year because this year I wanted to work more with the predetermined lists from the IB, because last year I was really focusing a lot more on the novel vocabulary, and I was letting them choose their own words that they didn't know. So this year I was trying to think of ways to do something more creative with a list of words. So with this activity, I found images online to go with each of the words. Simple concept, really. I just printed out an image to go with each word, printed out the words in bold print, and then cut everything up. And then I put the students into teams, 4 teams, and I gave each team a section of the words with photos, but they were all scrambled up. And then the teams had to race to match the correct words with the correct photos and get them glued down together. So that looked like this. Yeah, just really simple, but it got them really looking at the visual connection for each word. So I think that helped. And then I connected, when all the groups were done, I connected them all into one long poster and left it on the classroom wall. So throughout the unit we've referred back to that. And I like having the images because it's a quick reminder for the kids what each word means. So yeah, those are just some of the things I've done. I'm still trying to come up with new ideas. And I was looking online yesterday, watching some videos about vocab instruction and how we learn vocabulary. And I have some things I included in your packet. That's it for the methods that I've tried. I don't know if you want to keep...
Can you tell us about some that you read yesterday that you thought were great?
So this is something that I haven't done a lot of yet, but I'm going to start. One thing was context clues. I feel like we always tell students to look at the context, but I don't think that I've given my students enough direct instruction for how to do that. How do you figure out the meaning of a word from its context? So that's something that I want to start practicing with my students instead of just telling them to do it. So in your packet, you'll see I just found this great exercise of sentences with challenging vocab words where you can gather the meaning from the context. So just practicing that with the students, I think, would be really helpful to them. And then another thing I was reading about is how important it is to understand morphology, which I took a whole course on that in college, so I don't think we would go too in-depth with it, but just having the kids understand what a morpheme is, being the building blocks of words. Prefixes, suffixes, the root words, and how much they really can figure out the meaning of a word from knowing the morphemes, from knowing what the prefix pre means. And then if they recognize the root word, that they can then gather the meaning. I worked with this a little bit last year, and we have a great list of prefixes and suffixes in the curriculum. But that's something else that I want to do more with the students. There are some crazy statistics about, I can't remember what the numbers are, but if you know like 10 root words and 10 prefixes and 10 suffixes, you could actually know the meanings of thousands of words. I can't remember the numbers, but it's amazing if they know those parts, what they can figure out, and that helps them to become independent vocab learners, rather than just seeing a word they don't recognize and saying, oh, I don't know that, seeing it, looking at the parts, gathering a little bit from the parts of the word, and then from the context, being able to have a pretty good guess as to what the word might mean. So yeah, I included some exercises and things about that in the packet, and I definitely want to start trying to do more of those things with my students. And if you guys have any ideas, yeah, I'm always looking for ways to change it up. So.
Thanks, that was great. Do you guys have any vocabulary strategies that you use that you want to add or tell us about?
One thing that I, just because of the game thing, it's really easy to, like you were saying with kind of the memory thing where you put it, another way to do that with having a picture and the word is I just throw them all over the floor in the classroom sometimes, and then it makes it really active because they have to go and find them, and then the kid that brings back the most pairs, or like the couple of people that bring back the most pairs, can do it, and they get to win the word if they can use it. So for example, if you and I have the picture, you have the word, whoever can create a sentence quickest, that person gets to keep the word, and then they would obviously get those points. So then it makes it just more interactive.
Cool.
And then I do a lot with the whiteboards as well, where they have to write them in a sentence. You know, they all, the whole group, they work as a team to write them in, because then it shows me whether they actually understand the word or not. Because a lot of times with the little ones, I should say, I don't know about the big ones, but with the little ones, you give them words, they can tell you the definition, but then to use it, the fact that it's an adjective, the fact they don't know what that means still, within sentence structure, and so that will show me whether or not they know what that means, and so then I can, so I do practice with that every week as helped too.
That's great.
Yeah.
Clayton, do you have anything to add?
I got a strategy that I haven't implemented yet.
Yeah, tell us.
You know, like the list, I saw this when I was actually on an internship. Like the list in our curriculum, all the vocabulary words. What one teacher had done is she had taken a list like that from the curriculum, and she developed an entire story, including dialogue. It was a whole narrative that was about this. It was about a soap opera, and every day they had word of the day where they would come in. It was their set. They started to write down, what was, on the board, and then they would, have to guess what the word was, and it was in context already. And then while they were at it, they could discuss the grammar that was strategically written into the narrative, and they hammered down the words and put things in context, and so and they did a whole bunch of grammar through it as well, and it was a great set because they knew exactly what to do as soon as they came in. So it's just a matter of just getting the time to sit down and write it.
Of course.
Yeah, that's cool.
Then you'll always have it.
Then you always have it.
Yeah. All right, guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thanks, Tiffany. Thank you very much. Tiffany Blake. And Lacey Aubrey, sorry. And Clayton, I have no idea how to pronounce your last name.
Senek.
How is it?
Senek. Polish.
Ah, okay. Thanks. All right, this is awesome, you guys.
Yeah, that's helpful.
That
I
is
do
helpful.
new
Thanks.
books.